Welcome back to Passing Time with Craig. As always, I'm your host, Craig, and today is a joyful one as I have Annie Wilde, photographer, graphic designer, who is behind Queer Joy, a new book that's coming out, and it features a bunch of queer folks and just intimate portraits. We're going to talk about how this came to be, why it's important. Yours truly is actually in it, so when the book comes out, you should definitely get it. Such a fun time. We're going to have a little bit deeper conversations at times because that's the way the world is right now. But otherwise, it is mostly just a fun time. I love chatting with Annie. So enjoy my conversation with Annie Wilde. Well, hello, Annie. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to chat with you today. We're going to talk about Queer Joy, your book, the Kickstarter, and everything like that. But I really like to get a sense of people, especially with their passion. And I love photography. I think anyone who has that skill is just super cool. Do you always have an eye? Like, when did this love of photography, when did this become a thing for you?
It's a good question. I've always been kind of a documenter. Like, I love catching moments of life, preserving them, and getting to like rewatch them.
Yeah.
I think partly also because I have a terrible, terrible memory. And also just because life is so magical, and growing up kind of like watching documentaries, I would always think about what would a documentary look like if it was of people I knew, or, the life I was living, or, my friends' lives. And so I think I've always had a camera in hand. And I remember my first camera being one of those little like Nikon Coolpixes, maybe grade 7.
Yeah.
And that thing did not leave my hand at all. And I just actually recently found an old Google Photos account that had so many photos from like high school, my travels abroad. I thought the photos were gone, but
I saw that on your Instagram. Yeah. That was so cool. You had this experience hitchhiking and meeting people, and you're like, I'm never gonna see them again. And that's so cool that happened for you.
So crazy. And I think it was a reminder of just, I do just love documenting. And sometimes those things don't go anywhere, and sometimes they just end up sitting on a hard drive somewhere and forgotten about for years, or Google Photos account. But I do love documenting. I think it's so important. It's so important for people to be seen, for us to witness each other and like the day-to-day. So yeah, I love it. I love people. I love documenting them.
Yeah. No, I get that. I think I love having photos. I mean, I've chatted about it on this podcast, losing people in my life, young and everything like that. But I have photos with them, and that's why, like, I tried it. I take a lot of photos, and sometimes they're not always great, and they're just camera selfies sometimes. But they're just these memories, and we can look back at. Like when I lived in Orlando for a year, and I worked at Disney World when I was a young buck, 19 years old. I have all these Facebook photo albums up of us going out to different clubs, going to the parks. People are like, Craig, you have too many photo albums. But now the amount of times that I see people like out of nowhere, I'm like, why did somebody just like this photo? It's because they're looking back at it.
They get to relive it. That's so special. Yeah. It's so important. My nan was always a big part of like photography in my life. She always had a camera around her neck at every family function, anywhere. We were everywhere. To the point where sometimes the like running family joke was, before we would eat dinner, everyone would crowd around, we'd get a photo, and everyone would be like, not again, like another photo. But we all appreciate having those memories so much. And when I turned 18, she gave me this photo album of my whole life, and she'd printed off photos from when I was a baby up until I was 18.
Wow.
And I have this giant photo album, and I think that being able to have that inspired me to become the next version of that for the people in my life as well. So it's so special. It's so great. It's so nice to look back. Memories are important.
Oh, definitely. Well, so I also wanted to ask you, like, do you find being a photographer, documentary, like seeing real life things, does that help you when you do like graphic design at all?
I think so. I think I'm really inspired by like organic shapes. I'm really inspired by lots of negative space. I like the way that nature interacts with itself. And I think when I do graphic design, I'm thinking about flow a lot. I'm thinking about intention a lot. And so pulling a lot of colors from definitely like more organic color palettes, and thinking about shapes in a way that it's almost like you're reading, and or the design is like dancing. There's movement and there's flow, and it feels, I believe, everything that I want to create should feel like it's part of it, you know? It's like it should be easily like meshed into what's already there. So definitely, yeah, I think so. I don't know. I don't know if that answers it. I don't know.
I mean, I've talked to musicians, directors, actors, and I always like to ask, like, do you find that because you have some like background, when you're out and you see a billboard or something or like an ad, do you ever like go, I see what they're doing there. I would have done this. Like, does your brain turn off, or is it just like, no?
It's always on. It's always on. And it is a constant battle of me trying to turn off the critic and just enjoy. And sometimes like really good art will shut me up and like shut up my brain, and that is perfect, and it like slaps me back into place. But there is also always a little bit of like a, ooh, that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. I think it comes from a place of curiosity and a place of like, I love collecting skills. Like I love figuring out how to do stuff. And so I think it's a curiosity, and I think it's a little bit of me being maybe too critical. But definitely when it comes to like typography and color choices, and so even sometimes like color grading and photo edits, my brain is dissecting how it was done and how I would have probably done it differently.
Yeah.
And looking back at old work for that reason too is also so difficult. I don't know if that ever happens for you, listening back to old podcasts or seeing like old work you've done. But that hypercritic, and I think it's good. I don't know. I want to become friends with it because I do feel like it helps push us forward a little bit. But being able to turn it off would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you can turn it off.
I don't think so. I can't turn it off. I'm always like, or just even I will be at an event and I'll see like, or like even just a wedding and there's an MC and I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Like, no, they shouldn't have said that. They should have said this. Oh no, we got to move this along faster. Like, so I definitely know that whole like, oh, I can't turn this off.
Yeah. And I think I've actually been having this conversation a lot recently. In my other kind of Hannah Montana life, I do music. And when I listen to music or when I'm out at shows, there's definitely like a face that I can make sometimes when my partner has to be like, Annie, fix your face. Fix your face. But it's not judgment. It's not just critique. I think it's because I hold such reverence around music and art. And sometimes when I feel, and it's just my opinion, which is probably wrong, that it's not being held to like that standard of reverence or that standard of like love, there's like almost a little part of me that's like, oh, that could have been done so much better, you know? And it's fine. And the conversation rebuttal that I keep having with other artists in my life is like, art should be accessible to everyone. It's really beautiful that we all get to create it. It's such an important piece of self-expression, just understanding identity, just like feeling and releasing emotion. And also sometimes art is bad, and that's okay. Yeah. You know, and it just is. Yeah. And that's okay. And also sometimes it's very liberating to be the one making the bad art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Do you enjoy taking like photographs at like big concerts and stuff like that? Or are you more into the portraits? Like, or is it just one of those things too where you're like, no, right now I'm in this mood. I want to shoot this crowd. I want to see these performers on stage. Like,
oh, that's a really good question. I do love portrait work. I love getting to the intimacy of portraiture. There's so much more room for conversation and storytelling, you know, even just as I'm like putting a different lens on the body. There's that 10-second window where I can be like, tell me who you are, which I think is so sweet. But I have shot a couple concerts. I shot Folk Fest last year, which was an incredible experience. Yeah, it was a really cool opportunity to be thrown into the team last minute and just kind of like trial by fire, like put into a pit and figuring it out. I sometimes shooting music, I think about how I would rather just be playing the music that's being shot. And also I think that I'm too much of an active listener to shoot, because there's a few times I was shooting Leave Volleybag and I was just standing there. My camera was like down here, like tears in my eyes. Not a single photo was taken for 5 minutes, you know, like, and that's, no one wants to hire that type of photographer at a festival.
I mean, that's kind of the like catch-22. Okay, well, they're gonna have me photograph an artist or band that I just don't care for or don't like. or I'm gonna do one where I absolutely adore them, and I might not get great shots or any shots.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I think also, I don't know if you can relate to this. I'm self-taught in most of the areas of art that I engage with, and so sometimes I don't know the rules. And so I've shot a couple concerts where I've had a conversation with the artist beforehand, just being like, "Hey, like, how much of me do you want up there with you? Because I'm happy to stand right at your mic stand and like shoot up at you."
Yeah.
And some people are like, "That's absolutely insane.
Yep.
Like, get off the stage." But I have shot one particular concert that I really enjoyed shooting, where he was just like, "Go ahead, like, get all up in here." And so I was like roaming around on stage, like trying to be discreet, but getting those, again, the intimate moments. I think it's intimacy that I really crave with photography. Yeah.
And so, speaking of intimacy, portraits. Okay, let's get into Queer Joy.
Okay.
I'm so honored to be a part of this. I'm so happy for everything going on with it. We're gonna get into how we did Kickstarter and everything. But where did this Queer Joy idea come from? Because this has been a couple years in the making.
Been a couple years. Yeah. Good question. And how much time do we have?
All the time in the world.
I think Queer Joy came out of a place of, when things start to just build, like a little bit of frustration with the world, just like tensions in politics, witnessing politics. I felt like there was a bit of a build happening for a while, and the catalyst was being out camping with some friends, and one of the people who happened to be camping had a few too many drinks and started kind of being a little bit belligerent. And I am somebody who cannot keep my mouth shut, which can be difficult for the people who bring me into spaces. And I just took it as an opportunity to try to relate to and maybe educate this person who started being really belligerent. And there was no access point. I don't know if you've ever had conversations with really like with people who have really ignorant stances. Yeah. Sometimes there's an empathetic access point where you can wiggle your way in and you can sort of like break them from the inside out. But there was no access point, and he kept doubling down, and I think there was embarrassment that he'd been called out for some of his comments, and things started to get really homophobic in a way that was just unacceptable. It's always unacceptable, but in a way that it just was like almost unbelievable. And so, yeah, we had a bit of a blow up. It was such a beautiful campsite, and it was just me and this man like yelling at each other over a fire for a little while. Like the birds were frightened. Yeah. And I remember getting home from that being shocked that that was a perspective that could exist in a community that I was part of. Yeah. These are close friends of mine, not this person, but that was shocking to me. I realized I definitely live in a bit of an echo chamber. A lot of my friends are queer, and also great allies, and also just wonderfully educated people who kind of move through the world with compassion and care. And so it was shocking to see that perspective in general out in a beautiful camping spot, for one, and then also just this man was like 30 years old, and that was crazy to me. I was like, I know that the internet is available to most of us at this point, especially where this man comes from. And I was surprised that he hadn't come across content that would have already like radicalized him by now. You know what I mean? And so it made me realize that outside of the echo chamber that I live in, there is a lot of homophobia, and there has been, as you probably have witnessed as well, like a rising tide of hatred towards the queer community over the last few years. It's
I've always said, since shithead in the States came into power the first time, or not even before, when he was running that first time, all these people who have been silent have decided, we can say whatever we actually been feeling. Like we're going such a good, positive way, and then all of a sudden you have someone who becomes the most powerful human in the world, most powerful position, is saying whatever the fuck comes to his head. It's now given all these other people like who felt that they had to be silent, which I'm like, okay, well, don't be silent, but also don't be a douchebag. And also, we have been evolving and learning, so why are you feeling this way?
I feel the same way. I feel like it gave like a megaphone to a lot of like hatred and bigotry, and to see it like so close up of a friend of mine's friend, it was just really shocking. So then that was kind of like a building piece for me. That was in September of 2023. And then also that was kind of the beginning of a lot of really intense like political tension. We don't have to get like too far into it, but obviously like Palestine, that was kind of the beginning of all of us finally being educated into what was happening and had been happening for years and years over there. And I felt so angry, and I'm not someone that feels anger often, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I knew that my activism in my life was not as educated as it could be, and I knew I was not going to be the most educated and the best person to speak on a lot of kind of like frontline social justice work. And so I just started thinking about the things that I could do, and I realized that as much as anger is a really powerful tool, I think there's also something to be said about joy and rest and kindness and pouring back into community when there's this like tugging energy pulling you out of it. And so I decided I wanted to take a bunch of photos of queer folks, and I didn't know what was going to happen, but I thought if this man who was so ignorant could still have his belief, I knew that there was many more who still had their beliefs and were probably going to be unchanged. And one of his like pillars of ignorance, he kept saying, "Oh, I just don't know any queer people. I just don't know any trans people. I just don't know any gay people."
Yeah.
And so then I thought, well, I'm just gonna plaster them all over social media. I'm gonna find a way to photograph as many wonderful queer folks that will allow me, and in their joy, just to let him know that his opinion doesn't actually affect us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it's great that you have that, and we can get into, there's a whole bunch of I believe that there's a lot of issues underlying that actual belief. I don't think that is the real belief. I think that there's more under there, trauma and whatnot. But I just thought, I'm going to just photograph a bunch of queer joy, and I'm just going to plaster it all over social media, and maybe this man won't see it, and maybe he will, and maybe people who have never, in quotes, been exposed to queer folks, because you have been. Yeah. Because you haven't. Maybe you just didn't know, but you have been. Maybe it would be an opportunity just to shine a little bit of a light and say, well, we're here, and we are actually also joyful. And yes, we are often asked to use anger and grief and sadness as a way to kind of push movements forward, but there's also joy, and there's community, and there's kindness, and there's empathy, and there's love, and there's artistry and creativity, and there's so much else. And so I put out a call on social media. I made an Instagram post, and I thought maybe like my friends would respond.
Yeah.
And I was like, let me just take your photo. I'll taking photos for free. Anyone who wants their photo taken for free, like, who knows? We'll see what happens. So fiery. Like, I'm sure there were spelling errors in that. There was no like logic in it. It was just a moment of kind of like passion. And within a few days, over 100 people responded, which was wild. And a lot of people that I had never met before. And so it made me realize that there was maybe a need for something like this. And so I just started booking shoots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, I got to do it. And like you had tons of people. We were like 15, 20-minute shoots, like, because you had so many, and it was great. And I you were so inviting and welcoming, and a joy to shoot with, because obviously I'm an entertainer. But I think I even told you, it was like, I don't know, like photos, I always feel weird because I don't know how, like, because I'm talking. That's how I engage with people. So, but you did such a great job with it.
Oh, thank you.
And it was so much fun. And like I said, to be a part of it. And it's true, like someone who also loves movies, there's been a huge shift in years, because for the longest time, the only queer stories we had were just nothing but heartbreak and tragedy, and so luckily things have changed a little bit with things like Love, Simon and Heartstoppers, a lot more heartwarming tales, and then just in everyday TV shows, just characters in loving queer relationships. So it's nice to just see more of that joy, because there is so much crap in the world, but we need that joy.
Yeah.
And so, and now, we mentioned earlier in the episode you talked about like collecting new skills and doing stuff. So this is your first book.
This is my first book.
And
Yeah. And I didn't know it was going to be a book. I'll be so for real. I planned these shoots.
Yeah.
And after the first one, I think I had maybe 10 people come through in October of 2023 at Idolize Studios, which was so lovely. They offered the space up for it. And I, again, kind of just being like, we'll just see what happens. I had so many incredibly insightful conversations with all of these strangers that came through. And I realized that there was just like, yes, photographing the joy is so beautiful. And also, so many queer folks don't have photos that they feel like they can see themselves in. I mean, so many people in general, but I think there's something in particular about kind of the queer experience of maybe not feeling like you are what your body is, or you're, like looking in the mirror and being confused and searching for yourself, searching for that reflection. And so that became a really big piece of it. And then when those photos started to be shared on social media, the comments of people saying like, oh my God, like it's so nice to see this person, like, wow, this person looks amazing. Like I see them in this photo, like they are here, like present. I was like, okay, so there is something really important in whatever is happening. I did not know what it was going to be. And I was reminded of when I was a little like 14-year-old queer kid with no representation around me and feeling so lost. And again, because I always had a camera in my hand, taking so many photos of myself and being so confused. And I realized that all I would have needed was to pick up a book or a magazine or something, or, I don't think maybe a Tumblr page at that time of just queer folks who were just folks, who are just people, you know what I mean? Not super over glamorized, not super, like pigeonholed into what sometimes the media portrays as being queer, but just people in a joyful element, So then I started having conversations with people. The dream of putting things into a book came to me, and I started thinking up grants, and I had a couple people send some grants my way, and applied for a grant, and then Calgary Arts Development gave me the go ahead, and they said, let's make a freaking book.
That's
so
awesome.
so the book is being made and it's being printed so soon.
And you must have been so joyful, I guess, not to just harp on that word, and like surprised with the Kickstarter campaign, right? Like you did a Kickstarter campaign to help out with the books as well. And
unbelievable. You
reached your goal well ahead of the time.
Yeah, it was funny using Kickstarter as a platform. It was my first time using it, and I used it as a way to crowdfund kind of the rest, but almost just like a pre-order. So it was mostly just to like, because it's my first time making a book, there's a minimum quantity of books required to like go to print, basically.
Right.
And the funding from Cato was really helpful. And there was still kind of like a leftover chunk required to like bring it to the full finish line. And so I set the goal of this is what we would need to just meet the minimum. And then, it was funded in 3 days, which was so cool. And then almost doubled, which is so cool.
Cool.
So fun. So many books are going to be printed, which is so great. And then because of that, I'll be able to give a bunch away, which is also so important. And the dream is to have some of them in libraries. I'm still waiting to hear back from the applications I've sent in to Calgary Public Library. Just this book became like a beautiful snowball that kind of really like swept me away with it. And it's cool to see it to the end and to be able to make it kind of more accessible now that there's kind of a bit more funding through that Kickstarter. So
what can people tell people about the book, what they can expect from it? What would they find other than just portraits? And
so it's a book full of over, I think there's 115 queer Calgarians in it and 5 or 6 queer Edmontonians. And within the book, you'll also find quotes that were shared with me from the participants. I, during the initial kind of like booking process, reached out with a questionnaire and just said, "Are you comfortable sharing what queer joy means to you?" And basically bawled while compiling all of this data from all these like incredible sweetie pies.
Yeah.
And as the book was being designed, as I was like in it, and I don't think I left my house for many months, just deep in kind of like designing this thing and staring at everyone's photos and bringing all these quotes together, I realized that it's a book to celebrate us and the people in the book, and it's also a tool to connect us to the next generation of queer youth and just let them know that there is joy available to them. And so I reached back out to the participants and I said, is there anything you'd like to share with queer youth, and or is there anything you'd like to share to your queer younger self? And then again, bawled, collecting all of that data. So there is wonderful quotes and kind of little stories kind of like scattered throughout the book, which is really nice. Yeah, and that's it. That's the book.
What would this book mean to your younger queer self?
I think we all know that representation matters, and that's like a part of everyone's kind of like vernacular at this point.
Yeah.
But when you kind of like actually sit and meditate on that thought, I remember little queer Annie just being so confused. Like, what is happening? I came out in a small town in Nova Scotia. I think I was in grade 7, and the only other openly queer kid in the school, we'd started dating because that's what you do.
Yeah.
And the grown-ups around us, I think it was from a place of trying to protect us, but it definitely felt quite harmful. Like it was not an accepted thing. It was, like I remember being asked to leave a school dance, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And my family was not okay with it. And so being so confused, and then coming to arrive at a place of being like, maybe this is what's going on, and opening kind of that door into identity and exploration, to then have kind of the world around me then say, actually, this is unacceptable, which is such a common queer experience, which is so sad.
Yeah.
I think if I found this book at the public library, it would act as evidence of things getting better, and evidence of evidence that there is community, and like life is worth living. Like there's joy, there's community to be found. There are people who you will see yourself in, who will see you for who you are. Just the diversity within this book, specifically from the range of expression, is so huge. I feel like I would have been able to see myself in so many of these people in this book. And I think that's really important when you're young and you're fragile, and I didn't have anyone to talk to. So I think this book would have meant a lot to younger Annie. And I've cried a lot about that. When I was trying to figure out what my like dedication was going to be, I was thinking a lot about little Annie, just confused, and it's been cool to have the conversation with people that I'm photographing, saying like, queer joy, like we're here, joy is for all of us.
Yeah.
And to sit and remind myself that like joy was also for young Annie.
Mm-hmm.
And they just maybe didn't know how to access it. And unfortunately, there was a lot of harm that happened because of that. And there's a lot of self-harm and a lot of self-hatred and self-loathing and a lot of shifting and morphing into boxes that I didn't actually ever fit into, and being uncomfortable. And so, the dedication of this book is to our beautiful community, and also just to little Annie, because they needed this book back then. Yeah. And now they get to have it, which is sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many of us who needed this, and little versions of little Annie, little Craig, they all needed this book. And that's why, I mean, it's weird when sometimes podcast timing always seem to work out when I'm recording, but like, this is why books like this need to be in the library.
Yes.
This is why books about queer experiences need to be in the library, because it's so people can find experiences and hear these things, if they're not able to, if they don't have someone in their lives that they can comfortably go speak to and talk to, they don't have that option. Like, and they need stuff like this. So this is why this is so amazing and so good, and also why it needs to be in fucking libraries.
Yeah.
Don't take the books away.
Oh my God, don't take the books away. The knowledge is power. Yeah. The representation is power. And storytelling, we learn so much. Like, man, when we're kids, our brains are so malleable. And I think, unfortunately, we're taught to have this really like polarizing and what's the word I'm looking for? Not dangerous, polarizing and volatile inner world because of what we're taught.
Yeah.
And movies and stories, everything that we take in, the media that we consume now, unfortunately, it's like TikToks and kind of that really like quick, fast media where there's no filter.
Yeah.
But the storytelling is so important for all of our growth. To be able to put yourself in the story as a character, to find which character within stories you are drawn to as a kid. It's like the simplest form of like finding your identity. It's like magnets, you know? We just like, we find each other little puzzle pieces and magnets. It's unbelievable to me, and has been unbelievable to me as I've been working on this project now for the last 2 years, how many more roadblocks keep getting put in the way, whether it's Danielle Smith or Donald Trump, or like, it's just like every corner there seems to be another person trying to fight something as simple as expression.
Yeah.
As simple as joy.
Yeah.
You know, it is a right. It is important. It is healing. So crazy that this book could be a book that is not allowed in the library, even though it's just photos of people. It's
just photos of people.
Which is unreal. But it's just a wild time.
It is a very wild
It's a wild time.
And it is, again, it makes no sense. And, you know, if there's people who listen to my podcast and go, why am I bringing this up again? Because we are the ones who are dealing with it. We're losing out on us being able to be ourselves. Like, there's going to be a point where I might not be able to ask certain trivia questions at my trivia nights because
Unreal.
No, that might not. And it's like, well, it's a room full of adults, but okay, whatever. So
yeah,
we have to continue to keep talking about it and make sure people realize that it is nonsense and there's bigger issues that we need to be dealing with and not this stuff. But yeah, like I said, I'm excited that this book is coming together for you.
Yeah, thank
it
you.
must be so much fun. I also wanted to talk about that. You had a few different locations too, so it's not like you're just looking at a book where it's just the same background. It's different backgrounds. You're different locations. You're downtown, like outside. That must have been fun to just get different locations as well.
Super fun, yeah. So the first one being at Idolize Studios, which is just a gorgeous studio in town, was a great place to start. In my photography journey, have little experience working in studios. I love working outside. I love working with natural light and being amongst kind of organic things. So that was fun and challenging. We shot at Wild Rabbit Vintage. That's where you and I did our shoot, which was also so fun. I met Mark and Leanna at an event that I performed at Fort Calgary, now known as Confluence, and they had a thrift pop-up. And I fell in love with this jacket. And as I was kind of like, oh, I love this jacket, realized I needed to go visit the thrift store because I adore vintage. I adore kind of like old, fun, Westerny things. It's so cool.
It's a cool store to just go in and look around. And it's right in East Village. And they've got a little coffee shop as well.
Yeah, so sweet.
Yeah.
And when I went to visit them, I was telling them about all these photo shoots I had planned. They just immediately offered up the space, which is so great. So that was one of the last spots, and was also hilarious, packing in 15 people into a tiny vintage store. Not tiny, it's big, but it is not a photo studio. So there are limited things. So many fun backdrops to find within that space. Also Prairie Emporium, which I shot Dan Claps in for this book as well. And that space is also such a fun space to shoot. There's so much. I love clutter. I'm a maximalist when it comes to art. And I I think I said earlier that I love negative space, but like give me little negative space. Give me
Okay,
clutter.
alright.
Like give me clutter, like
Interesting.
intentional
Yeah,
clutter.
yeah.
I think is so fun. And so Prairie Emporium was a perfect place for that too, because their backdrops they have stuff all over the walls. And then I shot in Sunnyside for 2 days, which was super fun. I shot in Inglewood for 2 days, and then Stephen Avenue for 2 days. Yeah, so I think it was a total of 8 photo shoots. And because I'm like a 0 to 100 kind of person, after the first wave of people reaching out to me, seeing that there was over 100 people interested in doing this project, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna make this happen, but I'm gonna find a way.
Yeah.
And so I packed people in. Like every day there was like 10 to 15 people. Yeah, just I wanted everyone to be able to be photographed, you know? I was excited that they were excited that it was going to be a thing. And also, I felt really lucky to be trusted as this random stranger on the internet saying like, hey, meet me on Stephen Avenue, like come get your photo. So it was a wild experience. Yeah.
Well, and I gotta say, like, I feel doing like an 8-hour, 10-hour photo shoot day is a little different when it's constantly new blood coming in. If you're working with the same person all day, you're like,
so funny. Yeah.
you're like, okay, I don't know what else we're gonna shoot here, but like, you can have the same backdrops for all these people, but someone's gonna bring you something new, and
Totally.
different vibes to it. And you've got couples in here and friends, and I think that's so much fun.
Totally. There's something also special about having limits around certain creativity. And so to have that like 10-minute, 15-minute shooting window with someone, we just got to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I felt like it was great for participants who maybe would have gotten into their heads. There was no time. There was no time at all. There was like, we got to trust each other. We got to get into this. So many people trusted me with just letting me guide them in posing, which was really fun. But it was like in and out. We're here. And I love like a fast trial by fire. Like, yeah, I love burning out. I love burning the candle at both ends.
I can relate to that. Oh. So, okay, as we start to wrap up, what's the next step? You know, people, if they order Kickstarter, you might have some available, but this is coming August is when books are coming out?
So the plan is, so our production slot for printing is mid-July, coming up very soon.
Yeah.
There's a window, I set a window of like between 4 to 6 weeks. We'll see. Hopefully it's shorter than that. And then I am actually moving to Montreal at the end of this month. So I will be able to, and that's where the books are being printed. So I'll be able to just go pick them up and check them out. Hopefully hop into the studio and see how things are going down. And then I'll have them and I'll hopefully ship them out. I've set the delivery date to be September just in case things take longer than anticipated. But I'm hoping August. So that's kind of the next step is everyone that ordered a book through the Kickstarter will receive their book as well as anything else that they may be ordered. Because we hit the funding goal, which is great. There are a limited amount of books available on my website. And then I have some books to give away. So I'll be doing a giveaway closer to the launch date, which will be fun. Just hope the library accepts me.
Yes,
like,
hopefully.
please let these books in.
Yeah.
Again, because I've never done this before, I truly was like, oh yeah, I'll just show up with a book.
Yeah.
I'll just bring a book. Hey, I got a book for you. How many do you want? How many libraries are in Calgary? I got one for every library. And then what I was
Girl Guide cookies, door to door library.
literally, I was like, I'm just gonna show up. Like, here you go, babe. Like, put it in the return slot. Like, it's gonna find its way onto the shelves. No, there's a whole process, which makes sense. So fingers crossed that happens. And then I guess like kind of the greater dream and greater goal for it is the next edition of it. So I'm moving to Montreal, and as this process has consumed me over the last, it feels like 6 months, it kind of became my only reality. And so I started dreaming up ways to make it bigger, and I'll be in a new city. I'll be meeting new queer people, you know. I have this beautiful idea of maybe doing a book in every major city in Canada. Who knows? I'm a big dreamer. And then also recently was in Pal River for music, but also got to do some queer joy portraits for the Pride Society in Pal River. So that was another place where I realized, yes, major cities will be easier to find probably people who are willing to be photographed by a stranger, and are out and are happy to have their expression kind of like shared and plastered around. But also I came out in a small town. It was really hard.
Yeah.
I think based on having conversations with some of the folks in Pell River, it's still really hard, And so it could be also a really fun thing where there's a tour and I travel into smaller towns in Canada and get to do these portraits. And I want to find a way to offer these portraits that maybe don't become public too, and being able to have them all in a book is really special and important. Being able to just be photographed in general and see yourself is also really special and important. So those are kind of the dreams that are brewing currently. I think it would be really rad to just maybe do a book a year.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I already learned in design,
Yeah.
That was really hard.
I know.
But
Once you figured it out one time, you have a really strong basis that it's easier to go into. For everybody because this is obviously a list that you can't see, she brought her first draft book in, and it's amazing.
It's falling apart.
It's a lot of tape.
It's so much tape. I ran out of tape 4 times.
Yeah.
I just it's a very much a DIY adventure. Yeah. The cover of the draft version of the book is from I think a tequila seltzer box, or what is this?
Oh yeah,
a Mexican style lager.
Nice.
I don't know. So much tape. All of the swatches from different potential book printers, and just a bunch of printer paper, and held together with some dreams and sleepless nights.
We've had on the podcast before the wonderful Cat.
Oh, amazing.
And they've definitely told me all about creating their books, their graphic novels, which I also got off of Kickstarter. I just keep supporting all these awesome people off Kickstarter. It's still a thing. People go, look, you never know what you're going to find on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that it's not the easiest thing. It's got some work, but it's paying off.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So fun to be coming out of my hibernation now and running into friends again, and they're like, "Where are you? What happened? I haven't seen you in so long." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just really have been living in one corner of my office, sometimes the dining room in a house, making this happen." But to be able to just look at over 1,200 portraits of smiling queer faces, that was the project. Like, come on, that's a pretty good project. That's pretty wild. Yeah. I feel
pretty wild. Oh, I see what you did there.
I feel very lucky. You feel very, very, very lucky. Yeah. I'm excited to see how it continues to grow. I'm excited for everyone to finally have these in their hands. Like, as much as it's felt like a long time for me, like you mentioned, we did our photo shoot January of last year. So it's been a long time for everyone too, people are waiting, they're excited, and it's cool that it'll finally happen. I have a potential gallery plan in the works that I won't speak to too much just because the details are still coming together, but maybe there will be a launch party.
Yeah. Well,
a proper one.
Looking forward to it. My final question, I always like to ask my guests this. What is awesome? Tell me something that's awesome. And it can be absolutely anything.
Oh my God, I love that. What is awesome? I've been getting really into birds lately.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I've been seeing a lot of my friends on Instagram also getting into birds lately. I don't know if I missed the memo. We just got that age.
At that age. We might be at that age.
Yeah.
A friend of mine also got binoculars recently because she also got into birds. I think it's just I don't know. I feel like I turned 30 and all of a sudden I'm like, what is that? Is that a starling? I'm like, my ears are primed. And I was on a dog walk recently. I found this giant goose feather. So it was pretty awesome. Yeah. Something I'm trying to build more into a daily practice is just an understanding of nature and how uncomplicated it can be. And lately I've been feeling real sad about the state of the world. I think it's important to be informed, and I think it's also important to move with self-care practices with that information that we receive so quickly sometimes. My TikTok is primed with just like horrific political news.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, if and when I get the opportunity to like sit in nature and just observe, I'm reminded that things could be really, really simple. And everything could be quite loving, you know? There's a lot of teaching in nature. There's a lot of lessons to be learned from just watching the birds and just, watching the little groundhogs running around and hanging out. And when I was in Powell River, the studio that I was visiting is called Noise Machine. I was there for music, and sitting on the back deck, the studio is built right on the water line. Sitting on the back deck, you're literally being hugged by these two gorgeous cedar trees, and they just like sway with the wind, and we're right on the sea. You see the ocean, and she is doing whatever she wants at any point of the day. And there are all of these animals just like existing around you. I forgot how detached we can get when we're chronically online.
Yeah.
And maybe you can relate to this. So much of the job of doing photography, of doing music, is to be online all the time. Whether it's you're sharing whatever it is that you're working on, you're trying to build your personal brand, like that quote, the personal brand building, like that just being ingrained in my head over the last couple of years of trying to make a career in this industry happen. I think we forget that there is this big, beautiful world around us that we could engage with all the time if we wanted to. Even as simple as going and sitting in the sunshine and just feeling the healing, beautiful powers of the sun. Stuff like that, I think, can be really healing. And I've been trying to spend more time with that appreciation and seeing humanity reflected within that, because it can be really easy to get really, really sad and pessimistic and almost nihilistic about the world. I was having a conversation with my partner recently, and I think I said the words, "I don't know if I have any compassion left." And that feeling that come out of my mouth was like, I became the adult that I was afraid of when I was a kid, of, what do you mean you don't have any compassion left? Like, what do you mean you're not going to fight? What do you mean, like, you're not going to throw yourself into the front lines and make sure that everyone's okay? And there's just so many awful forces at play. And I think they get amplified online. I think they're very much there. And I think that we could learn a lot from nature. And at that point, I think that engaging in like the land back movement to make sure that the land is given back to its original caretakers so that it can exist with us, so that we can exist longer on it. We can learn the teachings that are already there. There's just so much beauty and love rooted in the earth that we live on. Yeah, so that's what's awesome to me right now.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword, because I also feel so sad sometimes. I don't know if you ever watched Fern Gully when you were a kid.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Every time I see like another like parking lot, like, ugh.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's just it. And like, I've talked about this on the podcast. I'm not a big winter person. I don't like the cold. I love summer though. So this is why I like this time of year. I'm like, let's go out. And people, you love it. Go out then. Just go be outside. Even like hungover. Let me tell you, I had to go run errands, and I had to wake up earlier than I wanted to. I was a little hungover, and I went for a walk, and just being outside in that fresh air for 20 minutes, I was like, whew. I feel great.
Oh my God.
So
good.
Not just water, it's fresh air. Just going for that walk will make it feel a lot better, especially as we're recording this during Stampede, all you people. You're not waking up early doing that, let's face it. Well, Annie, this is so joyful.
I'm so glad.
So glad you could come here today.
Thank you so much for having me. I was very nervous. I'm a yapper, and sometimes I really...
You know what?
Say some stupid shit.
Yappers are way better on podcasts than the people that I'm just like pulling, like, come on, give me more than just yes. So you were delight.
Oh, thank you. I feel so lucky. And actually, you know what? That's another thing that's really awesome. My nephew right now, he's 4, and he's going through this phase of anytime he's given something or anytime he just has a moment to like look around and appreciate, you'll hand him like I don't know, like a Welch's fruit snack.
Yeah.
He'll go, thank you so much. I'm so lucky. And I'm like, that's like, what a good reminder.
Yeah.
I am so lucky.
Yeah.
We are so lucky.
We are so lucky.
There's shit going on. And also, I am so lucky. And that's all. And thank you for having me. This was a delight.
Oh, thank you.
You're so easy to talk to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You are cute. This is fun.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Annie, for being on the podcast. Like I said, just a joy to chat with. and I love everything they're doing, and I'm so excited for everyone to see this book. I can't wait to get my own copy. I got to see the book, and he actually brought it in, so I got to look at it. I got to sign the one copy, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So you can check out Queer Joy Portrait Project on Instagram. It's just simply that, Queer Joy Portrait Project, all one word. And then by Annie Wilde is also their Instagram handle for all their other photography. But thank you once again. Make sure to follow me on social media at PTW Craig, Passing Time with Craig, for all the fun ways to pass the time. Otherwise, we'll chat soon. Bye.
Mm-hmm.